our thousand. Oh no. So if you get that notification,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say typically we will try to start recording the class beforehand. There have been a few times where we will forget and you'll get the
And by
random.
we, she means me. Like,
We
I totally forgot.
we are
But we have this class are
yes,
pre-recorded, so we're good.
yes, that'll be fine. All right, no worries. Okay. What I was gonna say is we're gonna move on to our thousands right now. And so for 1,000, that is going to use your other hand, your non-dominant hand. Okay. So you can already have your non-dominant hand palm up. You're going to have your dominant hand in the one shape because we're doing 1,000 right now. You're going to go 1,000. Let me bring it up. And you want to go at the base of your palm. So it's 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. Again, this is the same sort of thing. So if you wanted 2,000, you would go 2,000. 3,000. Excuse me. 4,000. 5,000. 6,000. And we'll stop there. We could go all through, but I was like, I think we got this. Now, if you were going to say something like 60, 70, $80,000, all you would do is just go 60,000. 60,000. Okay, 60,000. Yeah. So like I've said, it's just adding that one little sign there to help you. Okay. And then what you would follow through with that, like let's say we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1,234. We have to keep a number pattern or I will lose my numbers so fast. I've done that in multiple classes. So we're gonna go 1,000. 234. Okay. So you just kind of do that sort of motion. You just kind of keep saying your numbers unless they're like like 23 or whichever, like 16, that kind of thing. Then you would just do the 16. You wouldn't do 1, 6 like that. Okay. Now, if you were going to do 100,000, same thing. You would just go 100,000. 100,000. Okay. So just follow what you're saying. That's basically for me. I always think about like, how am I saying it? I'm saying 100,023. I followed that process. Okay. Now, our last one is going to be a million. Okay. And a million, excuse me, is very similar to 1,000. So you're going to have your non-dominant palm up again. So for 1 million, you're going to have a 1 and you're going to go million. So you're bouncing base of palm to the middle where you're right before your fingers start. So 1 million. 1 million. Yeah. I do always like to tell this story because I do think it's really funny. Some kids like to play on with words and like, you know how when kids, like we always make on funny little words and funny little sounds. Well, kids and deaf kids do the same thing in ASL. And so I had this one student who was talking about his grandmother and he was talking about how old she was. And he decided to say she was 1 million and then he kept bouncing. And it was like saying the billion, trillion, zillion, all the like words that kids will like add on. He just kept doing this motion, like it keeps going, like she's so ancient. And I was like, that is so rude. Your grandmother is not that old. And he's like, yes, she's blah, 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 blah. And it's one of those stories that I've never forgot. And every time I teach like this, I'm always like, well, you could just keep blah, 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 blah,
Meanwhile, that kid's grandma is probably like 42.
yes, I mean, like literally, and I was like, no, you're not calling your grandmother that old. So I just love seeing like the comparison of like how it's so similar still, how they will play with words like that. So I don't know. I always just think about that every time. It's the but okay. If you were going to do the 10 million, you would still do that. Like I said, the same thing. So 10 million. 10 million. 10 million. If you were going to do 100 million, 100 million. Okay. How is everyone feeling so far with our hundreds, thousands, and millions? I know we go fast. Sorry, I always get giddy when I see people respond and sign. It gets me so excited. But good. Okay. I always like to check because numbers can be one of those classes where starter classes are like, whoa, wait a minute, like this is a lot. Or they can be like other classes where they're like, oh, I got this. We're going. Let's keep going. That kind of thing. So I always like to check first. Okay. So what we can do now, and let's see. Sorry, got an email that was distracting. Let's see, where are we? Okay, let's start a little bit of time right now. I think that's good because time is a really big topic. We're not going to finish it tonight, but I do think getting a good head start on that, we can next week kind of finish it up. Okay. So what we're going to start with first is typically I like to do the sign for time, which is time. Which I do think is funny because I wear my watch on my left hand. I'm one of those weird people who wears it on her dominant hand. So I'm always like, when I go time, I'm never tapping on my watch. My watch is right in line of vision, and I never do. I'm always tapping on my wrist here. So you would follow whichever hand you're dominant with to do the tapping time. Okay. Then we're going to do second. So seconds is not one that you commonly actually see a lot more of. I typically see more of like 1 minute instead of like, how usually we're like 1 second, 5 seconds, that sort of thing. I don't see that as often in ASL as I do talking in English. I see more of 1 minute, hold on, that kind of thing. So for second, you're going to have your non-dominant hand sideways like this. Your dominant hand's going to be in that pointer finger. You're going to put it on top like this, and you're going to make like the tiniest bounce back and forth. Okay. Tiny, 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 tiny. Second. Okay. Then we have minute. There are 2 ways you can sign minute. The first one is you're going to be in that same sort of position as second, but now go minute, minute. It's slightly bigger. Minute, minute. The one I see more often is you're going to have your, let's say we're going to do 5 minutes, okay? Is my dominant hand's in the 5, my non-dominant pointer finger's at the base of my hand, and I go 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. 10 minutes, 11 minutes, all of that. You just kind of add the number you're signing on top of this. So the reasoning for this one is more like saying like 5 more minutes, 5 minutes left, that kind of motion. Because a lot of times, at least obviously at school, we have a different sort of thing. We have times, we rotate all the time. So a lot of times, most of our conversations about time are related to how much time is left, which is where we do that 5 minutes, 10 minutes sort of deal. Okay. But you can do the minutes here. That one you would do like 5 minutes, that sort of thing. But I do commonly see this one a little bit more. So the next one we're going to do is hour. So for hour, you're going to have, again, that same position. Basically, think of this as like the face of a clock, and your pointer finger is doing the time motion, the like hands. Thank you. There. I don't know why I said thank you. I thought of it. I remembered. I was thanking myself. That's what I was doing. And so what you're going to do for hour is you're going to go in a circular motion. Hour, hour, hour. It's not the end of the world if you do your hand the opposite way as like the circle. Typically, you do want to go forward. Hour, hour. People do ask that question. Do I go backwards? Do I go forwards? And I'm like, if you were to accidentally go backwards on this, no one's going to look at you and go, you're a crazy person. I don't know what you said. They're still going to know you're talking about an hour. So you should be good. So an hour. Now, what's nice with the hours as well is that you can add your number to it. So if you're talking about 3 hours, you have like 3 hours left, or you're working for 3 hours, whichever sort of thing, you would just do the 3 and that's circular motion. 3 hours. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Typically around 11, 12, when it gets a little bit more, like it's kind of, that's a lot of motion, you would just do 11 hours. 11 hours. Okay. Okay. We'll do one more before we go back. The next one we're going to do is the sign for week. We're holding off on day because day has its own little category group. Okay. So I promise we'll get back to it, but I want to do week first. So for week, you're going to put your non-dominant palm up and your pointer finger is going to slide across, starting at the base of your palm to your fingertips. Week. 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 And this is another one where you again can add that number to it. So 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, that sort of thing. So you can just add that number and just have that same motion. Okay, let's go back. So we had time, time, second, second. Like I said, really itty bitty. Second, minute, minute, or minute, minute, minute. Hour, hour, hour. And then our week, week, week. Okay, we have 2 more for this, and then we'll do our today, our day and today. So we have month. Month is a little bit of an awkward one, so bear with me. I think I've finally gotten a smoother motion about explaining this one, but this every time I'm always like doing a little like hand dance over here. So start with 2 pointer fingers. Your dominant hand is going to turn sideways like this. And you're going to bring this pointer finger behind your other pointer finger. Month. Yeah, I have gotten, yes, there's the process. Perfect. You guys should see the amount of times that I have described month before and the amount of people doing this. I mean, it's literally like doing the little finger dance over here. And I'm always like, oh, I've got to figure out a better way for that. So turn it and back. Month, month. And you don't have to add the whole dramatics of doing this motion first. That's just to help you see how to set it up. Really, it's just month, month, month. Okay. Again, this one is another one you can do the numbers with. So 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whichever. Okay. 6 months, etc. All right. Then we have year. All right. So year is going to have 2 fists. One is going to be on top. Typically, your dominant hand is on top. And you're going to go year. A full circle. Go forward, down, and come back up top. Year. 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 Again, you can do 2 years. 2 years. Okay. How's everyone doing on those last 2, month and year? Good. Does anyone need me to repeat them? Okay. So let's do day. The reason I have it grouped is we're going to do day, all day, today, tomorrow, yesterday. Okay. I like to kind of group them all together because they're all representing one specific day. So the first time we're going to use the sign for day, you're going to put your non-dominant arm sideways like this. With your dominant arm, you're going to have either in that shape of a 1 or a D. Either way, there's not really a big difference if you do the D or the 1. And you're going to put it on top of your non-dominant fingers and you're going to bring it down. Day. 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 Okay, so we have day. Then we have all day. All day is going to have our arm across again like this. This time you're going to have all your fingers up, okay? And you're going to go all day, all day, all day. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is the sign for today. And so for today, can't do my proper English pronunciation over here, struggling. Today is going to be two Y's. You're going to face them up and then bounce them today. It's typically you bounce them like twice today. You do not want to bounce them once. Your dog is not having you say today. They are very offended that you are talking about today. It's okay. I have one little one that keeps trying to get my attention over here. So that's why I was like, no, I can call on this one. So today. Now, if we were going to do the sign for now, you do one time. Now. It's like final, once and done. Now. I always like to think about when you get in trouble and your mom calls on you and she's like, Johnny, you come here right now. Like it's like settled, like boom. That's how I think about that. Like now. It's like it's just fine. Now. Okay. Then we have our tomorrow. Before we start those two, let me explain a little bit about how you describe present, past, and future tense. Okay. So, in English, we have the ed, will be, going, those sort of things. In ASL, we do not really have those specific changes like that. They are embedded in the sign, in the motion, the direction of where you put your sign. So, what I mean by that is, I always like to say, visualize you're on a timeline, okay? Right here, right now, all around here is the present. Anything that's going to be in the future is in front of us. And anything that's happened in the past is going to be behind us, okay? That's going to be the same thing for any type of future, past, or present tenses, okay? So for the sign for tomorrow, you're going to start with your little A with your thumb. You're going to put it in the corner of your mouth, okay? And you're going to bring your thumb forward. Tomorrow. 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 Then we have yesterday. There are two ways you can do it. I'm going to show the first one and then I'll show the other one, okay? So yesterday, you have that A again, that thumb. You're going to bring it to the corner of your mouth once again. But this time, you're going to go back to your ear. Yesterday. 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 Now, the other way you can do yesterday is all it's doing is instead of having it just be like this A in yesterday, it's a Y in yesterday. Yesterday. So the reason I bring this one up is because that is a little bit more of English ASL, where we have like those English words kind of still kind of differentiating it. This is more ASL. And then this is more what's called signing exact English, which is SEE. And that is where you would do your things like going to the store, that kind of thing. Whereas in ASL, it does change. You don't really do every single word or part like that. So that's more strictly, see, this is just kind of similar with it. Okay, like you start heading that way. You're not fully in, oh, this is C. It's the only way you can do is C. It's just more that, what's the word? English. I don't know why I forgot the word English. Sorry, guys. It's more English with that Y. Okay. You can do either one though, A or the Y. I used to do this for yesterday, and now I do this because this is what I see and I'm more exposed to, so it's more of a habit. So, okay, let's go back through our days. So we had day, 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 then all day, open hand all the way down, all day, all day. Then we had today, two Y's bouncing, today, today. Then now, and then tomorrow, 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 and then yesterday. yesterday, yesterday, or yesterday, yesterday. Okay, does anyone have any questions on time so far? Any questions, needed repeats, anything like that? I realize I'm sitting here like, okay, good. I usually rely on watching everybody and seeing whose hands go forward to type to know if someone has a question. So I'm like sitting here and I'm like, okay, I only can see two people. So I'm trying to be like, okay, give everyone else time to type something. So if you were going to do 52 weeks, you would do 52 weeks. So 52 weeks. You would bring that number. Typically, if you do big, like kind of after like 10 weeks, you wouldn't want to start doing 52, like 52 weeks. That gets kind of messy because that would look like more 5 2-week groups. So you want to do 52 weeks. 52 weeks. Any other questions? And they don't have to be about just the signs we've learned. Is there anything like related with time that you guys are curious of? We are, like I said, we are going to do more I almost did next week. This is just kind of almost like say part 1. I'm trying not to overwhelm you guys too much right now. I feel like the first ASL class is always like, oh, that's not too bad. It's just the ABCs. And then we get to this one and there's the numbers and then there's time. And it starts to be like, okay, wow, there's a lot of signs here. So I always like to check. Oh, that's a good one. So too late. Okay. So the sign for late is late, late. More arm is like kind of typically down like here. I'm resting it up higher so you can actually see my hand. Late, late, late. So if you were going to say too late, it's like two. It's like you make a T and it's like a smooth motion. You go TOO, too, too late, too late. Is similar to like too bad, which is just TB, too bad, TB, too bad, too bad. That one I think is really fun. I don't know. I can't lie. Like I'll have a kid be like, well, but I need a pencil. And I'm like, too bad you forgot it. And then I'm like, no, here's a
I
pencil.
feel
I
like
got you.
you're really holding out on me because it took me 4 years to get too bad. That's the
I,
good stuff.
I know, I know. I feel like it's only ever when like in class, if people ask me different questions and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, there's another one. This one's a fun one. Too bad. Too bad. Yeah. See, if you ask question, guys, you may get some more fun science in there. Too bad. So, any other questions you guys have? We only have about 4 minutes left. So instead of throwing more signs at you guys, I'm gonna leave it open if you have any questions about ASL or even deaf culture. Again, like I said last week, while I may not be deaf myself, I have worked in the deaf community and I'm happy to answer any questions you have if you're like concerned about insulting or if you're curious about something. They're very open. And so I ask questions all the time. I'm always curious. And so they let me know. And so I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have, or even if it's a question I don't know, I'm happy to ask and see what they say. So, any questions? Oh my gosh, I love penguin. Okay. So we do animals, I think it's like a few weeks out. But with penguin, it's basically like what you think it is, okay? I have to stand for this one. That's why you're about to hear some weird squeaky noise in my chair. You basically stick your hands out like this on the sides and you go penguin. Okay? It's literally what you think of about penguin. Penguin.
Animals
But
is the absolute best class because it is all like every single thing you think it would be. It is. It's so
oh,
great.
it is. Well, because that's what happens. You'll see half of the time there'll be signs where you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And then you have the other half where you're like, why is that? Like, how is that related to this animal? It's really funny. Because I can always tell in people's faces when they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And they're like, what? Why is that sign that one? That sort of thing. So let's see. Ostracize. Okay. So this is a good starting point of what I was going to explain real quick here about with certain words. So when you get more of the fancy vocabulary, is the best way I'm going to explain it right now. Okay. With more specific words that are, think about those words that your English teacher wanted you to use instead of other like simpler basic words. In ASL, it's about 50-50 if they have their own sign or not. So there can be ones where like, I'm trying to think of another example besides ostracize, because I'm trying to think of how I would sign ostracize in a sentence. Like that's what I'm trying to think of, because it does kind of change how you would explain it or sign
Is
it.
there just a phrase for like leave out?
Well, so let's say I was feeling ostracized. That's what I was going to say. I was trying to figure out how I wanted to develop the sentence for it, because it does get a little like confusing fast. So if I were to say I'm feeling ostracized, I would say I'd feel singled out. Okay. So I'd be like me feeling one finger and it's like a circular motion in my chest. Like I'm feeling alone, I'm by myself. That's kind of how you would say like ostracized like that. Or let's
Wait,
see,
Jillian, what is this again? Literally, what is
like by yourself.
okay.
Mm-hmm. Like I'd be feeling lonely, that kind of thing. It can really mean all those type of words of like being alone by myself. Um, then trying to think. You got me with such hard words. Oh no, y'all are gonna start picking really specific English words. I'm gonna have to sit here and think of how I would sign them, because there's other ways you could. Ostrich size. Okay, I'm so glad that I'm not the only one who also momentarily thought that was what I saw. And I went, oh, wait, no, that's not what I thought. That's not. Okay, so yes. But like let's see. If I were saying I don't want to, such a hard thing to like concept, because like if I were to say like ostracized, like I don't want you to feel ostracized, I'd be like, I don't want you to feel like, again, that one circular motion, it'd be towards the person I'm talking to, or if I'm talking about someone, it'd be towards them like
Okay,
this.
so that's a directional sign.
Yes.
Okay. I would never have guessed that. That's
Yeah.
wild. Okay. But I guess if you're talking about a personal feeling, you would have to point out
Kind
who's,
of who it
yeah.
is. Like, yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to say is your other, like Jillian's always saying context clues, but yeah, if you're asking someone, your face is going to say something different than if you're trying to say, I am feeling singled
Hmm.
out, you know.
Yes. And I was going to say, because she added a word here that I know we have not talked about yet, is directional signs. And so what are those, are signs that may, what they do is like basically when we're talking about you, me, him, her, they, them, all of that, it will change the sign, not the actual sign itself, but the movement. Like if I'm talking about me to you, it starts with me towards you instead of you to
It's like
me.
the easiest way to see it is help because
Yes. Because
you
if
would
like
say,
I'm helping you, as I start with me coming to you to help. Or if I'm asking you if you want help, it's you starting with you help, come to me, helping me. Like, do you need me to help? Like, help me help you, that sort of thing. So yeah, I would use kind of like ostracize and leaving out kind of deal, like that, being alone, like single by yourself. And not single as in dating single. Let me add that in here before someone says, well, I'm single, and they're like this. I'm like, no, if you say that, you're saying you're sad. Like you're sad that you're by yourself and alone. That's not what you mean by when you say single, like if you're saying single as dating. I love to have to add that, but I can already see someone asking that. That's why I have to add it in here. Okay. Um, but like single, like by myself, like sad kind of deal. Like this is like alone. I'm sort of singled out like that. Okay. I know that was a long, tedious commentary
but you
explanation.
do find out later. I mean, we've just done alphabet and numbers, so it's hard
Mhm.
to see this right now. But later you find out that there are a good number of signs like that that um could trip you up. No, just surprise you. Do something
Yes.
different. Yeah.
And I think we do one later on that's more about talking about feelings and stuff. We can always kind of expand on that more if we need to as well. So, but okay, it is now 6:30, 6:33. Wow, I'm just over here saying 6:30. No, it's not. It's 6:33. Um, So I will stop talking because I know you're like, oh my gosh, girl, please hush. I'm ready to go. But if you have any final questions, save them for next week. You can email them to Miss Katie if you're worried about forgetting them. And she'll save them for next week and we can kind of go over them again. And then I think next week we're going to finish off the rest of the half of time. And then I think, what is it? Family science?
Well, I
Or
think we did WH question words just so we could start to do bigger
questioning.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say is we have lots of versions of class number 2 that have already been recorded. So I will find whatever class we did in the past that will get us up to that point. So you won't have tonight's recording, but you'll have Jillian in a different outfit, possibly in a different house.
That is very true. I've like there are times I'm in my parents' house and you can always tell because there's a whole different setup behind me. So
So I'll send that out and I will update the vocabulary sheet that I sent you since we did get started on time. And yes, please send me any questions you have. Like if you're a pilot and you want pilot sign language, if you like to bake and you want baking sign language, whatever. If you've got an interest, let us know and we're always happy to explore that. So
oh, yeah.
that's all I got.
All righty. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of y'all's night and week. And I will see you guys all next Tuesday. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Good night.